When you run for judge, can you solicit campaign contributions?
You cannot.
You've run 3 times.
I have.
One of my colleagues, not Senator Welch, suggested that you live in the left front pocket of the oil and gas industry. Is that true?
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots, and defenders of liberty, welcome back to the channel. If you believe in justice, if you believe in the rule of law, and if you believe this country is worth fighting for, you're in the right place. Today, I want to break down a Senate hearing that should matter to every single American who cares about fairness, integrity, and the future of our republic. What we heard today from Justice Crane and Mr. Duva wasn't just another dry legal debate. It was a lesson in what's at stake when we talk about the rule of law versus the rule of politics. Let me tell you, it's never been more important to understand the difference.
Justice Crane, we elect judges in Louisiana, do we not?
We do.
And we have elected judges, our people have decided to elect judges for a long, long, long time, haven't they?
As long as I can research, yes.
Are you responsible for that system of choosing judges?
Not at all.
When you run for judge, can you solicit campaign contributions?
You cannot.
You've run 3 times.
I have.
Have you ever solicited a campaign contribution?
I have not.
You have to go through a committee, do you not?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, one of my colleagues, not Senator Welch, suggested that you live in the left front pocket of the oil and gas industry. Is that true?
That is absolutely not true, Senator.
Do you live in anybody's left front pocket?
The only pocket I live in is the rule of law, Senator. And I think that my record reflects that.
That's certainly been my experience. I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. Duva, you've heard the expression lawfare, have you not?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I think lawfare gets to the alleged weaponization of the Justice Department and things.
What does that mean?
Well, it's a term that's been used quite a bit. I think it means that the Justice Department becomes the tool of a sitting president or the Congress or whoever to do its bidding and that only, and not follow the law, not follow the facts as applied to the law. What we will do is not do that. We will do the converse of that.
Why is that dangerous?
Because it leads to bias, it leads to improper prosecution, it leads to messes in courtrooms. There's a reason there's a justice manual. There's a reason that there is Rule 6E.
I don't want to talk about the manual. I want to talk about just basic human decency and common sense.
It also erodes the faith of the justice system and our citizens.
Okay.
That is dangerous because it is based on those citizens where the end result, the citizens become jurors. And we need jurors to have confidence in the Justice Department and the prosecutions that it brings and to fairly evaluate cases.
Let me put it this way. Our judicial branch doesn't have an army, does it?
It does not.
Okay. Our judicial branch at the federal and the state level depends on its legitimacy for enforcement. I mean, people have to believe that justice, even though they may disagree with the result, people have to believe in the integrity of the system, do they not?
They do, because as I mentioned with jurors, if they don't and they're selected on a jury, they're not going to follow the judge's instructions to evaluate the cases based on the facts and the law. So it depends on the citizens to help us with the end result. And if that's eroded on the front end, it's eroded on the back end.
All right. If I'm a candidate for district attorney Is that a principle that you agree with?
100%.
Okay. And you not only have to believe that the defendant is guilty, you have to believe that you can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, do you not?
You do. You have to have the facts. Without the facts, you have nothing.
Okay. Is that a principle that you possess?
I do, and that's how I've operated for 18 years.
Okay. And you also have to believe, do you not, that the prosecution is in the public interest? Is that correct?
You do.
Okay. Now, if one of your superiors came to you, well, let me answer the question for you for how I would do it. If one of my superiors came to me and said, look, you got to prosecute this case, and I looked at it, and either I didn't believe that the defendant was guilty, or I didn't believe I could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, or I thought it was not in the public interest because it would undermine the integrity of the criminal justice system, I would resign.
You would, decline the matter.
Sir?
You would decline the matter for sure.
Right. And if they told me, if my superior said, look, Kennedy, you know, what planet did you just parachute in from? You don't have a choice. I'm your boss. I'm telling you to do it. I would resign. How about you?
I have no problem doing that. I would first just say, we're not doing this case, and here's all the reasons, and the discussion could go from there.
Okay. And if you were told to do it or quit, what would you do?
I'd quit.
Okay. Would you ever advise a client not to follow a federal court order?
No, sir.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you not qualifying it. If it's okay to disagree with a federal judge ruling, isn't it?
I often have.
Yep. It's okay to appeal it.
Absolutely. We have an appellate section. It's one of the best sections in the criminal division.
Within the bounds of legal ethics, it's okay to criticize it, isn't it?
Yes, internally.
But you got to follow it, don't you?
You do, absolutely.
Because that's called the rule of law, isn't it?
It is, and without that, you have anarchy and no confidence in the Justice Department.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the frank answers.
Thank you, sir.
First off, let's talk about Louisiana and its system for electing judges. That's right. The people of Louisiana choose their judges at the ballot box. That's self-government, folks. The founders will be proud. Now, is it perfect? No system is. But it's the people's choice, and it's been that way as long as anyone can remember. And get this. Judges in Louisiana can't even personally ask for campaign money. They have to use committees. Justice Crane, who's run 3 times, said he's never once solicited a contribution. That's transparency. That's integrity. Contrast that with what we see in Washington, career politicians with their hands out, drowning in PAC money. Maybe D.C. could learn a thing or two from Louisiana. Now, one of the senator's colleagues tried to smear Justice Crane, suggesting he's in the left front pocket of the oil and gas industry. Typical leftist tactic: if you can't win on the facts, just attack someone's character. But Justice Crane shot that down hard. He said, "The only pocket I live in is the rule of law." That's exactly the attitude we need from our judges. Not loyalty to special interests, not loyalty to political parties, loyalty to the Constitution and the rule of law. Let's be clear. America's greatness comes from the idea that we are all equal before the law. When judges and prosecutors stand up for that, regardless of who tries to buy them or bully them, it's a win for every citizen. Now, here's where things get real serious. Mr. Duva was asked about lawfare. If you haven't heard this term, you need to know it because it's how the left has been trying to take down their enemies for years now. Lawfare means weaponizing the Justice Department, using prosecutors, courts, and investigations not for justice, but for politics. Think about it. When you turn the Justice Department into a political hit squad, you don't get justice. You get Soviet-style show trials. You get bias. You get innocent people railroaded. And most dangerously, You get the American people losing faith in the whole system. That's what scares me the most. Because as Justice Crane and Mr. Duva both said, the courts don't have an army. They don't have squads of enforcers. They only have their legitimacy. If people stop believing that justice is real, that the system is fair, the whole thing falls apart. That's why the founders warned us about concentrated power, about unchecked government agencies, about the dangers of letting politics infect the courts. And you better believe we're seeing it happen in real time today. Let's talk about what it means to be a real prosecutor. Mr. Duva said it plain. You don't take a case unless you believe the defendant is actually guilty. You have the evidence to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, and the prosecution is in the public interest. That's integrity, folks. That's the kind of principle that separates America from banana republics and dictatorships. And you know what? If a politician or a boss ever told me to prosecute someone just to make a point, or to silence an opponent, or to send a message, I'd do exactly what Justice Crane and Mr. Duva said. They'd resign. How many in Washington would do the same? How many bureaucrats have the courage to say no? That's wrong. I quit, instead of just following orders and trampling on someone's rights. Not enough? I'll tell you that. Another key moment, the senator asked, would you ever advise a client to ignore a federal court order? The answer? No, sir. Period. Not maybe, not if I disagree, not if it's politically convenient, never. Look, we all disagree with court rulings sometimes. That's life in a free country. You can appeal it, you can criticize it, you can work to change the law, but you follow the order. That's the rule of law. Without that, you get chaos. You get anarchy. You get the breakdown of civilized society. That is why the left's attacks on the courts, their attempts to pack the Supreme Court, their constant undermining of decisions they don't like, it's dangerous. It's not just bad politics, it's a direct assault on the heart of our republic. So why does all this matter? Because our system only works if people believe in it. If they believe that justice is blind, that laws are applied fairly, and that judges and prosecutors stand up for what's right, even when it's hard, even when it costs them. That's what we heard today from Justice Crane and Mr. Duva. Principles, courage, respect for the Constitution, and a willingness to walk away from power if it means doing the right thing. Compare that to what we're seeing from some in Washington today. Weaponization of justice, political prosecutions, and a reckless disregard for the rule of law. That's not America. That's not what our founders fought for. So here's what I want you to do. Share this video. Talk to your neighbors. Make sure everyone you know understands what's at stake. If we let lawfare and political prosecutions take over, if we let the left keep undermining the courts, we will lose everything that makes this country special. Demand accountability. Demand that your local prosecutors and judges stand up for the rule of law, not the rule of politics. Support candidates who have the courage to resign rather than betray their oath. And never, ever forget, the Republic depends on you, on all of us. We the people are the last line of defense. If we give up, the system falls. But if we stand together and demand justice, demand fairness, and demand respect for our Constitution, we can save this country for future generations. If you believe in the rule of law, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real talk from a proud American patriot. And let me know in the comments, do you think lawfare is a threat to our country? Have you lost faith in our justice system? Or do you still believe it can be saved? Stay strong, stay free, and may God bless the United States of America.